Panel de Pon, the classic puzzle game that everyone knows, even if they don't know that they know it. You know. You've almost certainly played this one before. Maybe you played it as Tetris Attack, maybe you've played it as Pokémon Puzzle Challenge or Pokémon Puzzle League, but you've played it. These are all Panel de Pon. But let's start from the top. What is Panel de Pon? Panel de Pon is a puzzle game where you shift patterned blocks around to match 3 or more. More stacks rise from the bottom, either over time or at the command of the player. You can play for a high score, or you can play versus mode against the computer or other players. In either case, the key to success is to create powerful combos. And while it's taken many forms over the years, it all started with this game, Panel de Pon, released in Japan for the Super NES or Super Famicom in 1995. The title is often shortened as simply Panel de Pon. The selection of modes available here would become series standards going forward, including Endless, Score Attack, Stage Clear, Puzzle, and of course, Versus, aka the story mode. In the world where fairies live, nature is abundant, and all kinds of animals live peacefully together with the fairies. But one day, monsters start appearing in this peaceful land, bullying the fairies and laying waste to the world. As if that weren't enough, the monsters cast an evil spell on all the fairies, causing them to start fighting with each other. But one fairy, the flower fairy, Lip, manages to avoid the spell. Now she must rescue her friends and defeat the monsters. While the world of Panel de Pon would largely remain in Japan until its release on Nintendo Switch 25 years later, a westernized version of Panel de Pon was released worldwide the following year in 1996, regrettably titled Tetris Attack. That title has become a bit of a curse over the years since it doesn't even have anything to do with Tetris, which combined with Nintendo not owning the rights to the Tetris name is almost certainly why the international version has never been re-released. The Tetris company has strict guidelines, you see. But anyway, the universe of fairies and magic was replaced with an all-new theming based on the then popular Yoshi's Island. Now instead of helping Lip save the fairy world, Bowser and his friends are at it once again, and now you have to help Yoshi save his friends. Yeah, okay, the story is almost exactly the same. Magic spells and all, just with the name swapped around. This Yoshi's Island theme is super adorable, and it's genuinely tough to decide which I like better. That aside, the two games are more or less completely identical with only minor graphical differences in the most part. Tetris Attack was also released on the Game Boy alongside the Super NES release in 1996. This port is apparently not that fondly regarded and it's missing a few things here and there, but to its credit, it actually carries over a lot of the presentation elements from the console version. It even has basic Super Game Boy support, though it's limited to just a custom border, or multiple borders actually, if you input certain button combinations on the title screen. Tetris Attack on Game Boy would make its way back to Japan later that year as Yoshi no Panel de Pon, or Yoshi's Panel de Pon. To promote the game, a Super Nintendo version was also broadcast on the Satellaview service for a limited time. This is a full Japanese localization of the international Tetris Attack. This is not the last time Panel de Pon would grace the Game Boy family of systems, with 2000, or 2001 in Europe and Australia, seeing the release of Pokémon Puzzle Challenge, or Pokémon de Pon in Japan. 2000 was the height of the worldwide Pokémon craze, and as someone who grew up during that time, I recall this game being quite popular with a lot of kids, so I'm surprised that it hasn't stuck around with the collective gaming consciousness as much these days. Even with the Pokémon exterior, it's still Panel de Pon to its core. I guess there's no real hiding it. The usual set of modes are here, some under different names, as well as a brand new garbage clear mode. The Versus or Story mode, now called Challenge, now sees the young Pokemon trainer embark on the Johto Gym Challenge. It's more or less the same as the Super NES game before it, but due to the limited screen resolution you're now whittling down a health bar instead. It works in the context of Pokemon, but it's definitely not as exciting. This limitation is also present in the previous Game Boy version too. As mentioned, this game was also a Pokemon game in Japan, but at some point the developers had planned to develop a proper Panel de Pon game, which would have been titled Panel de Pon GB. In fact, leftovers of that game exist in Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, accessible as an Easter egg when playing on an original gameplay by entering this ridiculous button combination on the GBC only screen, or this even longer one when playing on a Game Boy Color, or you can just skip all that and use a cheat device to access it. What remains of Panel de Pon GB in the final game is very much incomplete and unpolished. However, there is an effort in the fan community to restore the original Game Boy Color title using leftover data present here. If I were including fanworks in this video though, then we'd be here all day, so let's move on. Alongside Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, a Nintendo 64 version would be released a couple months prior, titled Pokemon Puzzle League. Curiously, this one wasn't released in Japan. Unlike Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, which was based on the video games, Pokemon Puzzle League is based on the anime universe, so it's filled with characters and music from the original Indigo League series. It's also one of the few Nintendo 64 games to feature full motion video, with some anime scenes unique to this game.
Well, there's no time to explain everything. You must hurry.
Well, let's go!
Wait! Don't forget to come and see me in my office in Puzzle League Village!
All that Poke anime flavor aside though, the familiar set of game modes are all here. The story mode is now titled 1P Stadium and sees Ash and Pikachu heading to Puzzle Village to enter the official Puzzle League tournament. To succeed, Ash has to earn 8 gym badges from the gym leaders of the Kanto region and proceed to the Elite Four, and yeah, I'm sure you know the drill by now.
There it is, Pikachu! Are you ready for another new challenge? Pikachu!
While Japan didn't receive a release of Pokemon Puzzle League, they did receive their own Panel de Pon game on Nintendo GameCube as part of the Nintendo Puzzle Collection. Released on February 7th, 2003 exclusively in Japan, an international release was supposedly planned but never materialized, leaving this game as a Japan exclusive title. In this package you get 3 of Nintendo's classic puzzle games, including Yoshi's Cookie, as well as Dr. Mario, based on Dr. Mario 64, which also originally skipped a Japanese release. But of course, we're here to talk about Panel de Pon. Panel de Pon on GameCube presents itself as a sequel to the original game, following the descendants of the cast from the original game. It's pretty similar to the original game, but contains updated graphics and more modes. Everything about this game is so dang cute. Gosh. Apparently it's actually based on Pokemon Puzzle League. You wouldn't know it at a glance, but there's enough similarities here with the N64 title in terms of gameplay and graphics, including this interesting 3D mode, that I'd say they're definitely counterparts. This is truly surprising. I genuinely had no idea that these two games had anything in common. Nintendo Puzzle Collection also features GameCube GBA connectivity, letting you download a portable version of any of the games on display here to your Game Boy Advance. They're pretty basic, but it's a lovely touch all the same. Nintendo Puzzle Collection is a great release, and it's a real shame that this one stayed in Japan. It's definitely a worthwhile title to track down for any GameCube collector. While Nintendo Puzzle Collection would ultimately skip release outside of Japan, a similar compilation would see a worldwide release on Game Boy Advance in 2005, titled Dr. Mario and Panel de Pon in Japan, or Dr. Mario and Puzzle League elsewhere. This Puzzle League naming would continue in all overseas releases going forward. Dr. Mario is Dr. Mario, there's not much else to talk about here. And really, the Panel de Pon or Puzzle League side isn't really all that remarkable either. Regardless of what region you play it in, there's no fairies, no Yoshi, no Pokemon, just colored blocks. At its core, it's built on top of the version you could download through the GameCube collection, with the addition of the usual versus, stage clear, and puzzle modes, as well as a variety of backgrounds, making it a fully fledged Panel de Pon game, even if a pretty generic one. This one came pretty late in the Game Boy Advance's life and didn't seem to receive much fanfare upon release, at least not outside of Japan. This entry appears to be largely forgotten nowadays, but I suppose it depends on who you ask. It wasn't long before Puzzle League would get another shot, with Planet Puzzle League, also known as Puzzle League DS or Panel de Pon DS, releasing mostly worldwide in 2007. I say mostly since Australia of all places curiously missed out on this one. Didn't stop us from importing it, but hey, I was surprised as well. There's no nice way to say this, so I'm just gonna say it. It's pretty generic. They took away any unique theming that set the series apart in an effort to broaden the game's appeal. This was a hotly criticized move at the time, but the game itself is still quite good. Japan would at least get a little throwback to Panel de Pon with one specific stage background, but this was removed in international releases. And yes, before anyone comments about it, I know that it was only dummied out and could be accessed with an action replay code, but for all intents and purposes that's functionally identical to it being removed. I shouldn't have to explain this. The usual set of modes are all here, including single player, versus, time attack, and puzzle modes, with quite a robust set of options within each. There's also a full set of multiplayer modes for both local and, when the servers were active, online play. In terms of gameplay though, this one feels quite different from previous installments. By default, the game uses touch controls, which do work quite well, but as a result the game is balanced around this. The biggest key difference is that blocks fall slower, allowing you to more easily move other blocks underneath them while they're falling to create combos that you couldn't previously. It works, but it does feel quite strange if you're not used to it, especially when playing with traditional button controls. One new addition to the classic versus mode is item blocks, which cause one of 6 different effects when cleared, some which help you, others that hinder the opponent. There's also daily play, a mode where players can play special time attack challenges once per day and have their performance over time recorded on a graph. It was a Touch Generations release. Don't let the generic exterior and casual focus steer you away though, this is still a solid game. There was also a DSiWare version, titled A Little Bit of Puzzle League in PAL regions, Puzzle League Express in North America, and Shoto Panel de Pon in Japan, which more or less means a little bit of Panel de Pon. Released worldwide in 2009 on the now defunct DSi shop, but still available on the Nintendo 3DS eShop. This is mostly the same game as Planet Puzzle League, mainly just lacking the online and multiplayer modes. For Panel de Pon or Puzzle League, that would be it for a while. Outside of a few Virtual Console releases of the Pokémon games overseas and the original game in Japan, things were quiet. And then, after about 9 years since Planet Puzzle League, something truly unexpected happened. Animal Crossing New Leaf, Welcome Amiibo, bear with me on this, I swear this is about Puzzle League, was released on November 2nd, 2016 worldwide as a free update for Animal Crossing New Leaf for Nintendo 3DS. Among several new features and major overhauls to the game, 2 new mini-games were added. The Wii U item grants you the Desert Island Escape game from Amiibo Festival, and the new Nintendo 3DS item grants you Animal Crossing Puzzle League. That's right, this is Puzzle League, Animal Crossing style. And while it's easy to just call this a minigame, it's actually jam-packed with all sorts of modes. It could really hold up as its own standalone release. Unfortunately, I don't have any way of capturing this, least of all because I don't have a new 3DS item in my game. But in addition to Score Attack, Time Attack, Garbage Attack, and an all-new Candy mode, there's also a full story mode similar to previous games. There's also a whole host of achievements to unlock items in the main game, including a full lip costume for your character to wear. That's pretty awesome. This is the first character-focused Puzzle League game in a very long time, and combining it with a popular series means that we've truly come full circle. And that brings us to today, with the Nintendo Switch Online release of Panel de Pon, marking the first time that the game has been released in its original form outside of Japan since it came out 25 years ago. While the game is, yes, unfortunately not translated into English, this is still a momentous occasion that's worth celebrating. A little known fact is that this version of the game actually differs from the original Japanese retail release in a number of ways, fixing some game-breaking bugs with the Versus mode that would cause the original retail release to crash, in particular regarding garbage block behavior. These bug fixes were also present in Tetris Attack, and it appears that the previous Virtual Console releases also had these changes. But this is the first time seeing this revised version of Panel de Pon outside of Japan. And that's a brief history of Panel de Pon and Puzzle League up until this point. If this video taught you something new, please let me know in the comments below. And as always, like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and consider watching some of these other great videos. If you like Super Nintendo puzzle games, consider checking out this developer commentary for the fan translation of Kirby Superstar Stacker. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope to catch you next time.